Greetings, this is Robin Way, the president of Corios. We've developed the Corios Harmony solution to collect a complete view of your customers from across all the points of interaction used by your firm to determine the optimal next best action for each customer and to distribute those actions through marketing channels and through your relationship managers. The purpose of this fourth video is to share the nitty-gritty details of a complete working system with you. If you're someone who is evaluating Corios Harmony from a functional, technical, integration, or day-in-the-life usage perspective, this is the right video for you. If you jumped ahead, don't forget to also watch our other videos that accompany this deep dive where we introduce some of these basic capabilities and strategies. The first of the three core components of Corios Harmony is the map database, where we gather, store, and integrate the complete view of the customer. The second core component is the Customer Decision Hub, or CDH, where we analyze the comprehensive view of the customer and their needs, determine the optimal next best action for each customer, and decide how to deliver the next best action. The final core component is the CRM, for distributing the next best action out to relationship managers and anyone else that interacts directly with the customer, especially to deliver on the sales and support process. We traditionally rely on SQL Server for our map database, SAS for the Customer Decision Hub, and Salesforce for the CRM. We've built a common connection between these three parts of the Customer Decision Hub, as well as with all our channels, especially the ones that are rich in relationship, interaction, and transaction data. Email interactions, social relationships, web forms, landing pages, social connections, web and face-to-face events, and meeting appointments. We capture all the information about the customer journey across these channels and deliver a consolidated view and a consistent recommendation to the customer about relevant next steps. We rely on best-in-class technology vendors for each of these channel and interaction tiers, including LinkedIn, MailChimp, WebEx, Gravity Forms, and Salesforce. Your mix of channel technology vendors might vary from ours, and while we can integrate with most any platform you might have already selected, we have our favorites based on years of experience. We consolidate our view of the customer, our relationship, and all our interactions with them from these outbound and inbound channels. We gather it in one place and consolidate all the information about a single person and the company with whom they are affiliated. We keep that view of the customer updated every single day, generally relying on the APIs that each technology vendor provides, so that this process is highly automated. One of the most interesting things that happens with customers is when their situation changes or is about to change. Staying on top of updated information about customers enables us to maintain this fresh view of their circumstances, so that we can offer a timely response to them, perhaps before they've even realized it. Next, we organize the information about the customer and about the sort of treatments that are appropriate for the customer and customers like them. We maintain all of the ways that we contact them, the contacts they've had with us, the offers we've delivered to them, and how they've responded. We also maintain a link to the creative and offer assets we've delivered so that the stream of treatments we deliver is as coherent as possible. We target these treatments across multiple channels and touchpoints, including email, web, social, and events, and we track our touches with our customers when we make contact and what sort of response we elicit from the customer. If the customer's address isn't deliverable, or if they opt out of future communications, we track that and remove the address from our list. If the customer indicates they're interested in a specific treatment, we open a new sales opportunity and start qualifying it. We keep updating and refreshing our sales opportunity view of customers with our marketing relationship view of customers. We use Salesforce to track sales activity and SAS to track our marketing relationship activity. And we've built integration between these two tiers of the platform to keep a consistent view of the customer in place. It's important to us that we use SAS to maintain the single view of the customer across all activities, whether it's an education-focused email, a marketing lead generation-focused event, or a sales opportunity. We collect those touches and put them in a central location rather than relying on the channel or touchpoint to maintain any of that information. Let's look at a practical example. When a relationship manager engages a customer or prospect, the first thing they should review is their recent history of calls and emails, the current sales opportunities with that customer, and the recent marketing contacts and responses. We've inserted the Map Customer Decision Hub's view of marketing contacts, responses, and next best actions right into the Salesforce contact object using what's called a related list. This screen shows all the recent marketing contact activity from Corios with this person and what they've done in response. This includes a complete view of all interaction points, including email, web, social, webinars, events, downloadable assets like Corios Red Papers, and so on. At Corios, our marketing and sales cycles are business to business, and some of the most important steps in the customer relationship cycle are about published content, like Corios Red Papers, social content, including our blog, social posts, and sponsored content, webinars, including pre-promotion and follow-up, speaking events, including pre-promotion and follow-up relative to conferences, promoting our recently published book at a dedicated microsite called skate.coriosgroup.com, and managing sales cycles, focused on tracking opportunities and closing business. It's critically important to collect and match contacts across all channels and systems, linking back to accounts and opportunities. We've found that it's vital to centralize this activity as a system of record inside the MAP database. We've found we can't rely on the local databases associated with each touchpoint or channel because they were designed to be operational transactional data sources with limited functions available to us to directly operate the database. They also rarely offer any longitudinal tracking, and their view of customer analytics is usually limited to just that one channel. So instead, we ingest all these sources into a central location, and we use incremental updates to refresh the operational sources. For example, we integrate Salesforce with the MAP database via the Salesforce API, with the MailChimp email service provider platform with their API, web forums with the Gravity Forms API, and LinkedIn with periodically downloaded CSV files containing social relationships. We've written automated routines that refresh our database and perform customering, opt-out, and bounce processing, and other administrative updates to customer records. This starts by retrieving LinkedIn lists, Gravity Forms lists, MailChimp bounces and opt-outs, Salesforce accounts, contacts, and opportunities, and attributing responses to contacts made through the previous evening. Then we perform an incremental refresh of the MAP database staging schema and incremental updates on the marketing schema. Finally, we execute scheduled communications based on the most recent view of the customer and our interactions with them. When we design a campaign idea, we create content and assets that position the idea to the customer audience. Email copy, treatments, landing pages and forms, blog posts, downloadable assets like Corios Red Papers, and watchable assets like this video published to YouTube. Here's an example of an email invitation for a joint SaaS and Corios webinar that represents just one small piece of the overall campaign creative assets. We organize all this information in one place in our marketing asset management catalog and link our campaigns with tags back to the asset management catalog. This helps us track which content was delivered, which messages and offer components were presented, and which content may need to be refreshed or presented in the subsequent touch with a customer. When we launch a new campaign, it starts with the database refresh process I mentioned earlier. Typically, we're going to focus first on creating an email campaign, and we rely on our Corios campaign program management process to guide this activity. We meet as a team to develop the design strategy, audience segmentation, test and learn strategy, a mapping of the solution features to our audience segments, and we select the timing on the campaign calendar. Once these design elements are approved, we build the campaign, communication, and treatment. We start by identifying the most recently refreshed eligible accounts and people for the communication, and we select any criteria appropriate for selecting people to receive the campaign. The campaign is the container for one or more treatments assigned to one or more audience segments. Each assignment is called a communication. The gold-colored task in this list represents the communication. Varying the treatments to audience segments lets us test our ideas and how they will vary in attractiveness either by treatment or audience or both. Next, we associate each treatment with its content from the asset management catalog. We're going to use the same email treatment, which in this case is numbered TRT14 or treatment 14, but we track responses by each of several cells, such as financial services clients, retail clients, SaaS employees, and other customers and prospects. Once we've built the communication that's associated with the treatment, content, and audience segment, We approve the communication to be executed by the email engine. This automatically gets picked up and exported to MailChimp, our email service provider, by a scheduled utility routine. We import our content into the communication we've created in MailChimp and marry it with any personalization tags that we set up in the campaign. Before we execute the email campaign, we also do the following in order to complete the set of all assets associated with the campaign. We create a supporting landing page on our website. We create a supporting blog post. We create supporting social content for LinkedIn, Facebook, and other social domains. All this activity takes place directly inside the SaaS-based MAP Customer Decision Hub. Once all this content and campaign assets are ready and approved, we'll run the campaign. First, we publish the blog post and any published content to our website, and we prepare registration pages so that interested parties can ask us for any supporting content. Next, we execute any social content, first to our company page and subsequently from personal pages. Over the course of the first day, we watch the social response to the content, and we might choose to purchase sponsored content coverage for a broader set of LinkedIn members as a brand awareness strategy with audience criteria similar to the customer campaign. In parallel to the social campaign, we execute the email campaign. If you have sharp eyes, you might notice the list for each email campaign is a new one, which was auto-generated by the SaaS-based Customer Decision Hub, which we push to MailChimp via its API, so that the email marketer doesn't have to worry about list importing. It's all done in advance for them. This campaign, Treatment 14, was sent to roughly 2,500 people and merited a 27% open rate. When we execute the email campaign and the social campaign, we update the Google Analytics calendar to annotate the date for that campaign so we can attribute any changes in website traffic for the impact of that campaign. Similarly, we've integrated MailChimp with Google Analytics so we can specifically track email campaign-driven inbound traffic to the website. Next, it's time to monitor results. We have channel-specific dashboards to monitor periodic updates, but mostly we focus on the centralized results gathered in our database. We can monitor MailChimp live reports, plus download bounces, opt-outs, opens, click-throughs, and so on. The Google Analytics report of anonymous website traffic, starting the next day after launch. LinkedIn Analytics associated with a company page or personal pages. New landing page registrations to the main website or microsites. We have connectors into all these channels and touchpoints, which gather any customer-specific interactions and then refreshes the MAP database. The next step is to identify any incoming leads generated by our email, social, and web activity in our database. We run rules against the incoming opens, click-throughs, registrations, and we compare to prior activity as logged in contact history and response history in the MAP database. We identify different sorts of interactions and customer profiles. For example, first-time responders, email responders, frequent readers, occasional readers, watchers, downloaders, referrers, referees, executives, and we also characterize our known customers by the type of content they find interesting and relevant, which webinars they've attended, which read papers they've downloaded, and which pages on our site they read. So we identify leads of each type, code them in our database, and promote people who are really interested in our brands to a new tier of interest. Some of those leads represent new sales opportunities, and we'll reach out to them individually. We feed these leads to Salesforce as unqualified opportunities and assign them to a relationship manager. This happens automatically as a function of their behavior on our interaction points and channels. Next, it's the role of the salesperson to qualify leads and promote them. The salesperson will identify the interest level of the contact and the solution investment opportunity, identify whom else we should speak from the account to capture all the perspectives on this investment and understand their needs better. The salesperson captures all these updates in Salesforce records. As the salesperson makes those changes in Salesforce account and contact records, and also makes update to collections of new contacts, we automatically capture those and mirror them back to the MAP database. For any updates and expansions of opportunities, we also track those changes in Salesforce and mirror them back to the MAP database as well. Meanwhile, the customer in an opportunity is probably sharing this information with their peers, subject matter experts, and stakeholders in the account to increase their awareness. These individuals in turn are likely to visit our website, possibly to download some of our readable assets like Corios Red Papers. They will also often examine a company in a social context on LinkedIn, and possibly to invite us to become their LinkedIn colleagues. We capture all these changes via MailChimp responses, LinkedIn records, Gravity form registrations, and we perform incremental refresh of the marketing database. We evaluate performance of the marketing campaigns on overall activity, new sales cycles, and new activity on existing sales cycles. Whew! Alright, that sounded like a lot of activity, but now it's time to repeat the cycle, both on the customer relationship cycle and on the marketing Corios team learning cycle. This process, while comprehensive, requires a lot less time and a lot fewer people than you might think. We can crank out a new campaign and its content in a few hours, and if we want to create micro-targeted content for several audience segments, it takes only a few more minutes. When we have a large audience, we often segment by vertical industry, interaction profile, and customer history, and the length of time with which we've nurtured each relationship at the individual or account level. In case you were wondering about the support model, inside our business we support this process with 2 part-time people to run the database and its connectors, 1 person to write the new content, another to perform the targeting and execution, and finally we have several relationship managers who pursue leads generated by this process. We can easily expand this since we're using Salesforce to distribute those leads and execute new sales opportunities. Okay, by now you've probably reached critical mass in terms of what you can digest in a single sitting. Come back anytime to watch this video again, and perhaps there'll be a nuance you want to learn more about. Contact me anytime at president@coriosgroup.com. We'd like to hear from you. Thanks again.